finally getting to meet the people that literally have. When I say I did something, it's not just me. There was literally the same people doing that. It's just we were running like, we weren't. Some of it crossed and stuff like that, but we were just too young and too on the. You want competition at that age. You kind of want a little bit of a.
You are listening to the Artist King podcast. I am your host, DTM of DeltaTangoMike.com. The Artist King podcast features artists, entrepreneurs, and business coaches who share their knowledge, expertise, and resources to provide insight into the ways we can find our own personal success with our creative talents. John Tindel is an artist and designer working for the last couple of decades out of the Dirty South. As an early pioneer of the Southern art scene and suffering from what he calls obsessive creative disorder, Tindel's work comments on Southern culture with a unique imagery and wit. We catch up with John, and I share my story of shouting out to him from the crowd at Apache Cafe. Let's check it out. Hello, John. How you doing today?
Man, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us for a minute at the Artist King podcast. For those of the people out there listening to this and watching this, please tell us your name and who are you? Tell us who you are.
I am John Tindel, father of two, and what seems like an old timer now from the days of free Atlanta, just fun, crazy Atlanta. So it's, I feel like I'm just a dude trying to figure out what to do with all that. Like, you know what I mean? My youth almost seems like a separate person before kids. So I'm looking like, I got a lot of crap in my box. I wonder what I can do with that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I'm a painter that's almost bored with painting. That's what I am. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And so so you're saying there was a different lifestyle before family and kids. How old are your children now?
Well, 17, 14.
Okay.
And it was running in, but I don't know, man. I don't know how old you are, but I'm at that age where nature's like forcing me to be like, look at something. It's truly like, and I'm like, I don't want to. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's like, look, it feels like all my friends this age are just like, it's a grumpy, hopeful, grumpy. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm like, okay, we're at an age where nature's making our brain. I think it's wisdom.
Right.
You're gonna fight wisdom because having fun and just hustling creative is just juices, adrenaline almost.
Right.
So needs too bad for that.
So let me tell you about me so that you can see we're kind of similar level. I have grandchildren. I just had a new grandbaby a few weeks ago. So that's the third one. He's a boy.
I'm sensing what that might feel like because I have kids now and time flew so fast that they're almost 18.
Yeah.
I can feel that feels the best probably.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
go ahead, sorry, man.
And no, that's good. No, you're right, bro. Because my daughters, they're 30 and 28, something like that. Son is 26, so they're fully grown, got married and kids, and so, I think part of it is the age. I am 50, and then the other part is, you have had so much responsibility and dedication to family that now for myself, speaking for myself, is that, my time is only now divided between my passion for art and family. That's it. That is it. And if it's not any one of these things, then I have to really take the time to consider how does whatever it is that I'm considering fit into what I want my day-to-day to be like.
Yeah, then you're like, you're a step above, wise wizard type because I need to break it down to that because art it's still a weird annoyance that ticks me off, that gets me angry, that which,
Mm-hmm.
angst is a decent tool to use at times. But like I am like, why won't my brain let me just not deal with that? But I think
Mm-hmm.
if I pursue everything that's passion at this point, I got all these toys. I'm gonna make something insane.
Right,
Instead
right,
of
right.
just like, I guess still fall on that hit of youth, it feels like. And your brain's
Mm-hmm.
like, man, drop it. You're wise
Mm-hmm.
now. You know what I mean?
No, right, right, right,
You're not your
right,
cutest, but you're your wisest. You know what I mean?
right,
So it feels like
right.
that.
Well,
And I think
art
I
is
gotta work that
and
out.
right, right, right. Well, I think art is an emotional thing, so it's okay for us to feel whichever which way about it. That's something that's gonna happen. It's just that now when you invest your time, I guess that is the question. Like, what am I gonna do with all this? What is it for? Why would I even spend the time experimenting if it's not gonna advance some kind of goal or agenda? And that's the artist thing. You just want to do
Well,
something like,
and
well,
it's like the time spent mad that you're not spending the time doing that when you're like, why am I upset that I'm not doing that? My
hmm
brain, and then me, you know, your dad, sometimes you're like, well, if my kids ain't doing this with me, I guess I'll go chill with my kids. You know what I
hmm
mean?
hmm
Because
hmm
they're my favorite people right now. So
right.
and then, you know, probably see me when this hair is dark. If you even recognize me, I always hid in the back. But like, I've done every art show. I've done everything. I've
hmm
done it with zero
hmm
budget. I've gone to New York with $50 and done,
hmm
every single thing.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to realize it's like, I just lost a lot of money. You know what I mean? As a grown man, I'm like, but I just, I mean, it's clout and it's all that stuff. And I think it paid off the hustle because people
hmm
remember. So you're not
hmm
just an older dude. At least they remember you're like, you know what I mean, drive. But yeah, the fine art world, I had to dip out of that. Like
hmm
and I still ponder on it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I could
hmm
outpaint just about anyone but James Jean and some of the really awesome people. You know what I mean?
right.
But I don't have a story. I'm just a white dude that loves life and is in the suburbs. Like I'm the anti-story. You know what I mean? So I'm like, man, if I can't just be judged off my paintings, then that's
right.
one thing I'm like, I think I need to push that out. It's upsetting, it's annoying. I feel
hmm
like a show horse. You know what
hmm
I mean? Like, so yeah, I'm working out probably pretty soon. You're gonna see me. My background's gonna be like, is this your own?
Right.
You know what
Right.
I mean?
hmm
Smooth. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, it's a
well.
weird place. It
Uh-huh.
feels like I'm in a place. And those are always good because you get to figure out
hmm
either what that next step. You feel like you're in the next step zone.
Right.
So yeah,
And and that's good. And that's good because that means, and we're talking like we know what we're talking about and we know each other because we've been in the same city for a long time. So I know your work and so on. And
same.
we're gonna
I mean, like finally getting to meet the people that literally have. When I say I did something, it's not just me. There was literally the same people doing
hmm
that. It's just we were
right.
running like we weren't. Some of it crossed and stuff like that, but we were
hmm
just too young and too on the. If you
Yeah.
want competition at that age, you kind of want a little bit of a competition. So it wasn't like
hmm
as buddy buddy. But now I'm like, man, I'm getting to meet everybody. I'm like, dude, we're the weird old timers that
Yeah.
still don't know what we're doing. Still don't know what we're doing, but we have a lot of things you can put together and figure out if you can do it. You know
right.
what I mean?
hmm
So yeah, it's a fun place. I'm sitting where I want to
Right.
be. I just got to figure out how to use it.
There you go. All right. Good. Good. And I was gonna say that means that at least we did it. You did something. And it's okay because
I'm
you
trying to
you
figure out what that
actually
is.
right, right. Well, and that's cool. That's where the retrospective period comes around, and you're looking back like, well, what was that? What was that? And but at the same time, um, you know, one thing that I really feel about the Artist King podcast is that we want to share our experiences so that those who are coming up feel like, oh yeah, it's okay to feel this way. It's okay to not know certain things. It's okay because the art demands it. the passion demands it and out of me, so I'm gonna do it. And it's, you don't always have to have a plan. It'd be nice, but you don't always have to. And I think that's the part that at least you've done it. We can talk about it. Others can be like, well, if John did it, that means I could do it too.
Or yeah, and what I've realized is like, holy crap, you can be kind of a middle class artist if you don't want to go for the rock and roll. You know
Right.
what I mean? I've done the rock and roll and stuff, and I was like, yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, whoa, you can almost be like just a. I know it sounds plain and boring, but just like a regular old dude that can have a house, have a family, have a yard. You know what I'm saying? Have that stuff. So for me, that lets my brain think. I'm eased out. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I've done a lot of paths. Right now I'm starting to be like, I'm jumping to design or more like I'm looking at what you're doing. Like when you started doing it, the whole time I was like, I should probably do that. I should probably do that. And I've been watching you
Uh-huh.
the whole time. I'm like, God dang, he's doing it. And he's got it. You've got it going. So like, don't you remember being in like college and stuff and dreaming of like ways to be able to spread the word and all
Mm-hmm.
that stuff? And now there is. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? If I'd have had all this technology when we were all going so hard, I mean, we'd be like New York level legendary crazy
Right.
people. You know what I mean? Like all
Mm-hmm.
that. So you can do it. You just got to do it. Like now
Right.
there's so many different levels. You don't have to go through the snooty kind of art
Mm-hmm.
world. Man, you can
Mm-hmm.
just bust through like everybody.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that's what's one thing,
Right.
like wow, use everything of that.
Yes, and I think you're not asking me, but you did ask the question. You said, what do we do? What do I do with all of this now? What is it
Mhm.
for? And I think you're doing the podcast. You're interviewing other artists. You're bringing them into your space, and it's a retrospective. That's what we do. That's content today in today's
Mhm.
world. It's all about content, right? Like, what is it that you have to share with the world? And so it is your journey that you share, and as you share the journey, you start to recognize a lesson, and like, oh yeah, this is why I'm telling you the story, not only because it was rock and roll, but also because I learned this thing,
Mhm.
man.
Mhm.
You got like a whole book series, a whole masterclass series in you.
Yeah, but right away my brain goes, well, but I had a 48K camera, a 480K camera, and barely any. I mean that true content today. You know
Uh-huh.
what I mean? It
Right.
almost have to be like recreated with rough video and read. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's what I wanted with my podcast. Is just because I'm like, I know everyone's got some kind of unique stories that have lessons in them. And they may
Mm-hmm.
be hilarious stories or they may just be real stuff. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
holy cow! Like I could
Yeah.
run through. Don't do a show in a bar. They're going to turn the lights off. Don't do a show with a band. They're going to turn the lights on and off. So you're going to have to
Mm-hmm.
try to paint in between. Like
Mm-hmm.
learn how to build a canvas. Learn how to uh, work a website. Like that should
Mm-hmm.
be
Right.
you should be born with that by now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like born with it.
Right.
And
Right.
then it's like then you're once you could get all that stuff and you could actually make something physical. But now you don't even have to go physical. So like,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
this AI stuff's coming quicker than out of nowhere, quicker than anything. So I think it's going to go back to texture and pure raw creativity,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm like, oh, sweet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because this AI is crazy. So it's like you have so many things that might be overwhelming now,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
where we
Yeah.
could only see like a crack in the door that there might even be an art world that
Mm-hmm.
exists.
Mm-hmm.
They have this like massive world that they have to almost like figure a path out because there is a map open. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I
Yeah.
mean? We didn't
Right.
have a
Right.
map open. We were just like, whoa.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. That's right. It's you know, I go back to my early memories of you. You've been on my radar for a long time. I think you were doing covers for the Creative Loafing.
Oh yeah. That was a long time
Mm-hmm.
ago.
Yep.
Probably 13, 14. Yeah, something. Yeah.
And
Crazy. That's
so
probably like, yeah.
you were at we was at Apache Cafe. I'm not sure
Loved
if
it.
it was Yin Yang Cafe then.
Uh,
Um, but you were there. I was in the audience. You were on stage talking about something, probably some art piece or something. And I had already paid attention to who are the artists getting press, and I've never been interested in that kind of stuff, but but I was interested in being a working artist. I wanted to be a working artist, one that just does nothing but get paid to draw and produce art, and it's like, here, give me some money.
mhm.
And so when I saw the covers to the loafing, I was like, okay, this is a guy, this is an artist who's doing it. And then I saw you at the Jing Yang or Apache Cafe. It's the same place. It just changed
Mhm.
names
Yeah,
eventually.
Karen.
And so, and I used to hang out there because the Art Mondays, and they would have the DJs, the models, and then a bunch of us artists and photographers, and that's where I met W. And so,
Oh, they blew my mind when I met W at Apache.
yeah,
W at Fabian. I
yeah.
was like, I've never drawn. I don't think I've drawn since. I'm a painter.
That's right. They made you throw away
I
all
saw
the art
their like,
materials.
I,
Like,
oh,
yeah, that's
my
if you're
mind.
not
I was
doing
like, I
it
didn't
like
know you
they
could do
are,
that.
then yeah.
I'm not gonna try to draw. After seeing that, yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that
So
that
you're there.
place, yeah, that
Go
place
ahead. Go
was
ahead.
bringing artists in to at one place at the same time. And so you were talking, and then I think you opened for to Q&A, and you said anybody got some questions or something like that. And I yelled out, I said, yeah, how do I get to do a cover for the loafing? And you played it off. I forget exactly what you said because it didn't matter. It was just
I
a
don't know what I
moment
would have
of
said.
yeah, right. I can't even recall the reaction or the answer. I just remember me blurting it out like a dumb kid, like okay, I'm gonna do what you do, bro.
Yeah.
And kind of like how people would say to you right now, like, well, let me call your sponsors. Maybe they want to sponsor me. And then you're looking at them like, well, why would they want to talk to you?
Right.
That's not
Right.
how it
Right.
works,
Right.
bro. But okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so from that day on, it's like, uh, there is a presentation that has to go, a persona, and now we call it brand. In those days, it was reputation. That
Yeah.
has
Just
to come with the art. It can't just be, recognize me for my Mickey Mouse drawing. It's like, okay.
which guy who does Mickey Mouse drawings? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right. So I think ever since then, man, it's like you've been one of those artists who cemented to certain ideas that it's like, I need to get right. W is another one of those artists. I need to get right. And what it means to get right, it depends on the situation at any given time, but there are those out there. And so I want you to take us a little bit. You can say anything you want about what I just said if you
Mhm.
like, uh, to contribute to that, but also take us to, where did that creativity for you begin as a kid, as an adult, that you decided that, you know what, I like this. I want to be an artist.
All right. Let me take you through the quick, probably psychological, and you'll probably get it quick. Okay. So
Okay.
drawing. I'm trying to think when I was a kid. It was we didn't have it. I did speak and spell on trips, and that felt like a roller coaster ride. You know what I'm saying? We had no games, no nothing, no nothing. So um, boredom, boredom
Mm-hmm.
as a kid was the start of it, and then I started drawing, and then you can, so you do at that age,
Mm-hmm.
and then at school you draw something cool, and someone says that's cool, and it gets your ego up, and I was kind of like pudgy kid, so I could use it as a safety, like a defense mechanism. You know what I mean? Like I was with all the cool kids because I could draw and do all this crazy cool creative stuff. You know what I mean? I was in the classic blonde hair, blue eyed guy fraternity because I could draw and stuff, and I play
Mm-hmm.
guitar. You know what I mean? Like the
Mm-hmm.
creative stuff. So I've always used it. So it's always been like indirectly encouraged. But my parents would always be like, "Man, that's awesome," but they didn't. I think they didn't rationally see a career. Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
no one's going to encourage that to take you away from just getting a career and having a family and kind of where I'm at, whatever. So it was a lot of that. It was a safety blanket defense mechanism. And then as
Mm-hmm.
college came, stuff got crazy in college, and I just pushed it more. And then in
Mm-hmm.
college, and this is all drawing, but never thought I could be an artist. In college, a wheel clicked, excessively started drawing. So there, if you can
Mm-hmm.
get into that stage, and I'll never
Mm-hmm.
be able to get into it again, but there's an obsessive stage when you're young and it clicks all in and you're like, I can't stop doing this. I can't stop doing this.
Right.
It was
Right.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you tell them about that, like I just missed too many opportunities because I was shy.
Mm.
Honestly, still shy. I'm still shy. I don't like talking about myself. As soon as I am a little egotistical, like metaphorically, my inner voice just kicks me right in the, oh, you know what I mean? Like, so I just can't even do it. I can't do
Uh-huh.
it. So I miss a lot because, like, ideally, you telling that story, if I could go back in time, I'd be like, dude, you should have come up and talked to me because I was just by myself that whole, like,
Mm-hmm.
besides Michi and that stuff, I was kind of by myself the whole time. Like, I just
Mm-hmm.
ran as this
Mm-hmm.
kind of, I always said, like, with me and him, I was like, you're Chappelle, I'm the white dude that wrote for you. So, like, I literally was missing opportunities on
Mm-hmm.
purpose just by being like, I don't want to be really out front. I was too shy to
Mm-hmm.
do it,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't fake a persona because I felt like a moron inside. Because
Mm-hmm.
my head's going, you fake. This
Yeah.
isn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah. So growing up all that, and then when it clicked in, I had that stage where you waste a lot of money at Michael's. You buy frames. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
buy frames, you spend 200 on a frame and things where you're like, you realize, man, don't frame your work. That's for there. Unless you're at a place, they want to do that. But like
Mm-hmm.
you start realizing all the shortcuts, and then that's like learn basic carpentry, learn how to do an internet, learn your
Mm-hmm.
website, learn uh now like how you can make your phone look good because you could practically do a movie on it.
Mm-hmm.
Learn how to like probably this like quickly disperse all your content, all the little things now. That's what I'm trying to get excited. I think I'm like, whoa, I'm sitting on a bucket of all this cool stuff. I need to maybe play in the world of content dispersion
Mm-hmm.
and get it all out. If not for my kids, so they'll be like, oh, that's some random thing out dad did a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
If not for my own little weird, thing. So I'm shifting to where I need to have, like you said, art, and it has to kind of be passionate, not annoying, not whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
then like family. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? And family encompasses career because that's got to hold it. There's got to be that like thing holding it together. And I had art holding it together, and that was frustrating and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
made me angry and made me stressed and stuff because you're pissed at your paintings because they have to sell and you have to pay 10 to sell one, and so there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of stuff. So I'd be like, but then I told a girl the other day, I was like, I would say don't use what you got in sense of like you got a story and you got this and it can work into your art. I used to be like, art's just art, let it be art.
Mm-hmm.
But now I kind of told her, I was like, nowadays use everything, man.
Yeah.
Use what you got. I said,
Mm-hmm.
just don't be mean to other people or annoying, just
Right.
but use what you got.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was the one hiding in the back, and I realized you telling that story, I missed hanging out with you for all these years, and who knows what weird, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
all
Mm-hmm.
these people, it's like
Mm-hmm.
W is the nicest guy in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And getting to always be in touch with him has been cool. And some of these people that are still here and have figured it out in their own
Mm-hmm.
way. If we could pull out all the similar things from all of this stuff, you might have a decent little
Mm-hmm.
DIY middle class artist. How to start a family.
uh,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
let's touch on that. You said this is like the second or third time you said middle class. Is that is how do you define success in your creative career?
Well, my creative career, like I always hide it, and it was stupid, is I have a whole design career on the side. And
Mm-hmm.
I have a creative, and I never let each one never know each other. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So that was dumb. So when you do say creative, you have to also tell artists that you may need to go get some other creative job that is
Mm-hmm.
easy to just make income.
Mm-hmm.
Design, things like that are super easy to make income, you know, that too. But what was your question again? Say what was the
It's like how do you define success in your creative
oh
career? Uh, because you mentioned middle class, and just to add a little bit, like I feel like I'm at a place where I'm getting paid for my art. I have clients. I'm able to afford vacations. I'm able to afford gear, and eating well,
Mhm.
and but I don't. So that, to me, that's successful. To me, I'm not looking to become a kingpin in the art world where you're a celebrity and people are calling out your name and they got posters of you in their house. You know,
Mhm.
like success is not a Kardashian to me. That's not for myself.
Oh,
You
that would
know,
be like a hell torture. Yeah, that would be horrible.
right?
But yeah,
And so, how do you define it? What is success to you?
I
And
don't
are you
know
doing
because
that now?
when I look back on young, I don't know if I actually would define it because it was just run as hard as you can towards
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what felt like the right direction. But now, like, and I was talking to some other artists, and I was like, yeah, I always wanted a studio that was like under my house that I could just go to and paint and stuff. And then we're literally sitting in it, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh wait, is this success? Wait, I think it is. So I think it is. And I
Yeah.
mean, not only what you did, but you also supported kids, stable adults, and have other kids. Like that's huge
Mm-hmm.
too. You know what I mean? You
Mm-hmm.
made like
Mm-hmm.
society stabilizing young adults. You know what I mean? Like that are making
Yeah.
more people, whatever. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's changed. Success to me right now, it doesn't even involve art. It involves
Mm-hmm.
making sure my kids get a good education, don't die. You know the basic father stuff. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you're like success in art, I'd be like, well, probably my youngest is going to need a car one day, and my oldest car. So I'm like, my success in art is maybe I can hawk a painting for a car one day. You know, like a
Mm-hmm.
$6,000 car. Like I don't have a plan, but it's a neat place to be again. I just got to find what to do, or just
Mm-hmm.
tinker. I could
Mm-hmm.
tinker for a little while and then pop out with maybe something happens. That's what I usually
Right.
just rely on
Mm-hmm.
the creative forces around just to hopefully drop off something in me or something.
Right.
Because I feel like a carpenter that someone dropped in art in a brain. Like I don't feel like I was supposed to get this.
Mm.
Like I would be
Mm-hmm.
so happy being like a carpenter that does killer woodworking, goes home to his family and all this, but I got this weird side of art that keeps, so I don't even feel like it. I'm so weird art that I don't even feel like it's special. I feel like it, like who the hell put this in me? You know
Uh-huh.
what I mean? You tricked
Uh-huh.
me. I'm supposed to be just plain old normal, but I got this thing. So like when people get real fluffy about art, I'm just like,
Uh-huh.
you
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm going,
Yeah.
like it's almost a disorder. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
Like I'm like, why am I in the basement with all this weird shit around me? This is
Mm-hmm.
crazy. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So it's
I built a crazy
you
house.
know, yeah, yeah. I'm definitely the weird dad. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
all suburban dads look the same, but you don't know this one is
Yeah.
weird, you know? So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
success is hard to think of with art. I think just a little bit of appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
It feels good right now. For me, success is just that good little like if someone says that's awesome, it really does make me do it more right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I'm kind of I'm feeling that old and does anybody care? Does anybody I'm feeling that. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So
Mm-hmm.
right now, success is just like that's killer, man. And I'll be like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do so much more. So it's
Right.
I'm kind of relying on people for that drive. Where before it was just, shoved directly into the jugular. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's weird, but you can make any path. It's neat to know that you don't have to be the Kardashian level artist because think
Mm-hmm.
of how many failed people there are if that's all there is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
say
Right. Right.
curse creative stuff, and you go, man, creative industry might be that's all that's left once
Mm-hmm.
you can write marketing terms in AI and they give you 12 and you can lay it on a spreadsheet. It's
Mm-hmm.
who needs a lot of people. So I'm like, it doesn't, yeah, it's a strange time and it's kind of cool that I get to start getting wisdom at
Right.
the weirdest time in the freaking history, of just that kind of stuff. So I'm like, whoa, maybe I won't be an idiot during all this or something. Like, and creativity feels like it's going to be the only thing we're going to be able to give,
Mm-hmm.
creativity and maybe some manpower. You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
manpower will be gone soon. So it's like, you know, it's cool. it's cool not to have to be a Kardashian, and you don't have to be a failure in the art world if you're not having a bunch of, weirdos praise your story of blah,
Right,
blah, blah,
right.
all this
Yeah,
artsy stuff. So,
yeah.
because I would not be right now be sitting down and be a failure. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like I'd be a
Mm-hmm.
failure. I'm not on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't got deals and getting murals for $1 million. I don't got that stuff. I'm just doing
Mm-hmm.
murals like for money,
Mm-hmm.
so my kid can have a car. Maybe I can pay off my truck. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But like,
Yeah. And that's success. That is success
yeah,
to me.
because I can't think of much anything I want. And if you said
Yeah.
you had all the money in the world, I'd say lake house, jet skis, nothing else changes.
Right.
That's it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna be like, I want to dominate the world. I'm just gonna
Right,
be
right,
like
right.
killer lake house, like
Yeah,
and
yeah.
some jet skis, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm 100%
Mm-hmm.
resolved. So it's some. I'm glad that you don't have to be a failure. You can literally be on TikTok
Mm-hmm.
and be selling your work and have a no cut from a gallery, nothing, and just
Yeah.
be selling it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
instead of one giant one, maybe you're selling in between that, like not a million little ones, but maybe you're selling a bunch of medium stuff.
Yeah.
That
Mm-hmm.
can add up, and if you have the hustle,
Yeah.
you start plotting, like you start charting it. You're like, well, if I made them $500, and I sold this many, like, oh, I could paint this. You start getting your audience, and now you can have your own audience all locked in. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I wish I'd have taken emails throughout my 20 years of hustling,
Mm-hmm.
kind of,
Mm-hmm.
because I would have had so many great emails, but I just didn't think of that,
Mm-hmm.
because now I'm going back to email lists. And I'm like, that is a huge thing to have.
Right. Yeah.
Like, what a dummy. I didn't think,
Mm-hmm.
I should have kept all that, because you do numbers. If I make up a t-shirt design,
Mm-hmm.
when I do it through emails, it's like, you know, 400 people get it and 10 sale. It's a
Mm-hmm.
decent number I can work with, rather than like randomly one sells here and there. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I'm
Right.
like,
Right.
oh,
Mm-hmm.
you can start playing in that world. That's what if I slid an ad or boosted? Like, I want to start playing in
Right.
that world a little, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting in a hoarder level amount of content. Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm just like
Mm-hmm.
in a content pile.
Yeah.
I just have to
Exactly.
figure out how to do it.
Right. Right. Well, I feel the what you're saying about everything you just said is awesome. In the part where you said, the story, sometimes the fakeness of some of the fine art or whatever. I was at the High Museum at one of the many times, and I caught this tour walking around, and this lady explaining something about a painting, an old painting that was sitting up there, and I don't even remember exact the words, but I felt like she was talking about, oh, this artist did this during his blue period, and he was thinking this, and he was doing that, and in my mind, I just had this headache, like, no, that dude just had enough money to buy blue paint.
Yeah, the specific color that is literally like the most expensive, because they gotta mine it.
Right,
Like,
right,
yeah,
right. And
yeah.
like
Well, and
that
that's too
dude.
like,
Hmm.
take any one of my paintings and say, expand on it. And
Hmm.
I'd say, okay, there you go. That's a series. That's a period. My brain won't let me. I just paint whatever. But
Hmm.
I could take the hard edge, stencily type looking cut stuff and be that guy, or I could take the crazy stuff and be that guy. And it would be easier for the fine art world to understand. Like,
Hmm.
they want it simple to understand, simple story. They don't want to be like, he's just a plain old guy that paints weird stuff and he can go any direction and he does all this experimenting. They want it to be like, he came from the mountains down through the snow,
Hmm.
and they want like a
Hmm.
story. And I give it to, you know, some Atlanta dudes have finally figured that world out. And I'm like,
Hmm.
yes, you're letting Atlanta in that world. It's going to change a little bit.
Hmm.
You know
Hmm.
what I
Yeah.
mean? It might
Yeah.
be a little bit funner in the fine art world if you start
Hmm.
letting in some Atlanta folks in that kind of world.
Right.
And don't, and Atlanta, stop trying to be those folks. Be your own fine art world. Don't be, New York fine art world. I've always been like, why aren't we just Atlanta everything, or, the
Hmm.
South everything? Like,
Right.
yeah, you go to a fine art show in the South and you're going to have like, you know, a cauldron of collards sitting there. And you
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like, they do it different down there. So that was my original thing with art.
Hmm.
You know, we all get along the South. We do it different down here. Every art show's got crazy food, got just crazy music. That was my original goal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the naive dude that just was like, yeah, we all get along. We're the South. They think we're idiots, but we're the smartest people around. You know what I mean? That was literally my mission. That was my
Uh-huh.
mission. Like band of brothers. We're the South. Well, you think we hate each other? Haha, we
Mm-hmm.
don't. You know what I mean? That
Right.
was my world. That was my
Right.
world. Um, yeah. So it didn't end up like that. It felt like so. I kind of am sad that like it didn't end up like let's show the South.
Mm-hmm.
We're not the
Mm-hmm.
same stupid narrative that's everywhere. We're down here. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Right.
it's made me sad on that because it's like, yeah, we can
But it looks
always be
like
able to do it different.
right. It looks like you have not given up on that though, because just looking at your background, it says Deep South Outer Space. It's like you're not letting go of the
Probably
roots
get in
and
trouble for that. I think,
hmm.
like the Deep South.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's offensive now.
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. I don't
I
know,
tried to type
but
it in a PlayStation name so I could play with my kids, and they wouldn't let me use it. They wouldn't let me. They said this is not allowed, and I was like,
right, right,
"Wait a
right.
minute, am I
Yeah.
like an old man that's like behind the
Uh-huh.
times?" Or I thought that was just an area,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
anything else.
No, now you're right.
So
You're right. So the ideology, political stance now. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but you
Mm-hmm.
sometimes have to be like, "Yeah, but we don't care."
Right.
Like
And when you
all of us,
pair it,
like all of us, like not just me being this guy, like
uh-huh,
literally
uh-huh,
everyone. Because I used to be like, I'd be like, I'm like Black City white boy. No one from Atlanta ever thought that was a loaded thing. They laughed
uh-huh,
their ass off if I said it
uh-huh,
because they understood exactly what I was talking about. I go to New
uh-huh.
York, yee, I'm like, maybe you just need to be like, it's an inside joke in Atlanta, and we're just
uh-huh.
gonna stand firm and be like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
different down here. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
we all love each other. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of funny to make people think it's different, and they come
Yeah.
down and they're surprised. So
Yeah.
that was my original thing. It's because I got here and I just was like, you know, everything was New York. All the
Mm-hmm.
fancy galleries back and then would be like New York, and the whole vibe
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, they have a painting from New York. Like it bugged me. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
like,
Right.
gee whiz. I was like, I'm gonna say I'm from New York. You know what I mean? Like that was the only option as an artist.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for real. Like, because I was
That's
like, they
what
won't
sells,
know,
right?
they won't check,
Uh-huh.
but then it's like after that weird show me and Michi did and all the rumblings of everybody that was kind of going, and then just being, yo, let's be proud of this crazy ass place
Mm-hmm.
and say
Mm-hmm.
we do it crazy
Mm-hmm.
because music has done that. It's just copying
Mm-hmm.
what music's attitude is.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, why
Mm-hmm.
don't we copy the fact that they're literally saying we're the baddest asses of all around? We're the art
Right.
side of that creative
Mm-hmm.
world. We should also be saying that. But it's like, someone said like in New York, the music handed a baton to the artist and
Mm-hmm.
said, yo, make this a time period. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Music,
Right.
art.
Right.
So, but I heard explained that the Atlanta musicians never handed off a
Mm-hmm.
baton to the art scene to be like, let us make you a
Mm-hmm.
whole entire complete, like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
decade of this like insanity.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We were trying to be them, but they don't know they didn't even
Right.
know who we were. So it's like, there wasn't that connection of the two genres that were really
Mm-hmm.
fired up, I feel like at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I
I
just
think.
want people to paint, be creative and
Yeah.
not be mean and be nice
Yeah.
and just you know what I mean? Just basic
Yeah.
stuff. Things
Yeah.
I teach my kids. I want
Right.
everyone to just try to be
Oh my
decent and
gosh. Yes. Mm-hmm.
let out
Yes.
creativity and
Yeah.
don't be mean, man. People are
Mm-hmm.
mean when you're a fat kid. It's annoying. So like all these things that
Yeah.
probably make me who I am, I'm also
Yeah.
like, hey, don't be mean.
Mm-hmm.
It's there's no reason. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like
Yeah. But
there's like mean fetishes going around. Like people like
mm-hmm.
being mean. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah. It's
cringy.
popular.
Ugh.
Polarizing. Yeah. Anything to
Yeah.
polarize. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you would think if it's polarizing and legit,
Mm-hmm.
better stuff creatively would come out of it. And sometimes you look at stuff, you're like, that's been done like 8 times. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
so you're like, if you're gonna be that, get the world. It seems like if which seems heartless in the world, but if good art comes out of it, maybe it is a legit thing. If bad art comes out of it, maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
not that. I don't know. It might
Mm-hmm.
be a caliber of something,
Right.
but it's been fun making it up. And I feel like as someone who can have a family and do this, I have now
Mm-hmm.
more freedom. I can literally do whatever I want. I may not be making buku bucks, but that's just more bills. That's
Yeah.
obviously
Right.
you should figure that out. If you make more
Right.
money, you will make more bills.
Right. Yeah.
you know?
That's real life, man. I've been thinking about like some of the rates that I want to charge, and then right now tax season, and you're like, dang, I'm gonna lose half of that for taxes.
Yeah, I think every if every person had to get a chunk of money and then give what they owe, yeah, I think that number would go down quickly because, like, yeah, when you have
Right.
a little business, like my wife, I have a little business with the murals and the design, so I can keep all the creative stuff. But if my wife wasn't there to handle all the forms that you have to fill out
Mm-hmm.
fill out this form so you can fill out the form to fill out the form, all these tax, we don't have employees, you still got to file all the employees. It's
Mm-hmm.
insane
Mm-hmm.
and very hard to the point where I didn't really do murals this year, so it wasn't big chunks coming in like that. And she's like, it's too hard. We need to shut it down so I don't, what I mean, and then put it
Mm-hmm.
back up
Mm-hmm.
because just keeping it alive it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I didn't have her in a corner, I'd be like
Mm-hmm.
probably the dumbest guy right now. You'd be like, you keep it all in checking? I'm like, yeah, what?
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So
I keep it in
it's
cash
hard. It's almost like,
under the
yeah, it's
mattress.
right here. I lift up a bag. Yeah.
I need to touch it
Yeah.
and feel it.
Yeah. God. Yeah, that would be hilarious. But it's strange. It's
Mm-hmm.
I need to go to design. I need to go to design. I think it's a good thing to show my kids, if they have any creative that you can do this. Like I'm starting to shift a little to design. I don't know if I'm gonna go total design art piece, but I'm gonna go like, I put a little effort into my work and I get moved up quickly. So I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
now I can see what that world's like of being like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
a little bit of a leader and it's a company, but still it's like, can I pull off the same creative level at this very hard puzzle to figure out? It's corporate level and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
it's the opposite of everything else I do, but
Yeah.
still in creativity. So it's all a puzzle that's been fun to solve for 20 or 30 years, for my whole
Yeah.
life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I'm starting to get a kick out of seeing like almost like how you can just unify a company with a look and everything like and just how
Mm-hmm.
it affects everything and now you can test everything so all the creative intuition is being proven. So you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to just be like, trust me. They can be like,
Right.
that red works. You know what I mean? You're like, I told you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like it's a cool world where I'm like, ooh, I may need to jump in here because I'd like to get some proof on some of my creative intuition. I'd like to
Mm-hmm.
back up some of my crazy thoughts with some data.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just for my own sake, just to,
Right.
if not make an argument better or something. I don't know.
It's good.
Yeah.
Man, it's you know, I think that a couple of things that what you're saying is number one is using both sides of your brain. Being a creative person doesn't mean you just go off the handle, whichever which way is and a
You don't
partnership.
have to be
Mm-hmm.
weird for no reason just to be super creative. Now, you may be a weird, eccentric person, and that's you, but like you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to up your weirdness to be super respected of a creative person,
Mm-hmm.
unless you're just going for a weird brand of a person. But you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. Go on, what you say? Because I forgot
No,
you had
it's
it
good.
rolling
It's
good
good.
there.
You're right. You're right. No, I guess, but there is a time and place for everyone to be an eccentric and, weird or out there or your art. Because, and you still, but you still can be that because your art style is very unique. It's very, um, uh, noticeable, very clearly defined, and I haven't asked you like where does your inspiration come from, but there is a particular look and style to your art. But there's also the business side of it, of what and you mentioned this several times, is that you do uh, play with brands for their branding, for their marketing, for their everything, and brand messaging, because that is where the majority of the income is going to come, and so you have to have a balance of things that will play out better when you're dealing with brand clients. And the second part of what I wanted to say with that was that it also helps to have a partner. Now, of course, it happens to be a wife, and that's that kind of partner. But there's always
Yeah.
an artist can't succeed by themselves. They have to have other folks around them that can help pick up some of the things that you don't want to burden an artist with. And lucky for me, fortunately, it's not luck, but fortunately, I have a wife also who's super smart, super
My
logical,
wife's in
very
finance. She's in finance.
yes,
So
yes, and she
so I'm like,
handles
I didn't
all
know
the
how much
billing.
money I make. I just let her have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And then she reminds me of the outstanding invoices. Like, yeah, cool. I'll make a call.
Yeah.
No worries. You know.
I know when
But
Netflix is canceled, when Netflix is canceled, we're low on money and I need to chill. And when we start losing little services, I'm like, oh, we might be down on money. She's canceling all the little stuff.
I need to go
Yeah.
ahead and
Yeah.
pick it up. And so
Yeah, exactly.
but I think that's what we're hearing out of your answers right now, and what you're sharing with us is that the partnerships are part of the success of an artist, and understanding yourself and being able to maneuver the a little bit of logical, a little bit of art, and all of it together can make you someone like John Tyndall.
I guess, man, that feels too good to be describing, like, to wrap it up like that. I mean, I am in a weird spot where I am feeling like, humpty-doo, just kind of walking
Hmm.
around, kicking the dust in the studio. So it's good to hear that. It's cool.
Hmm.
And it's like, I would say all the things I missed was to, like, if I'd have known you earlier and we hang out, or if I know someone like, I have a wife that can do finance. What if I had a friend that could do PR and their
Hmm.
creative brain could go nuts having their art form something to do PR
Hmm.
with? Or I had
Hmm.
a freaking salesperson that could go
Yes.
in like a
Hmm.
shark and really push
Hmm.
people to do this kind of stuff. So I would say my fault is I probably instead of I should have probably over my life gathered a good crew of business partners, not
Yes.
friends. I got tons of friends, tons of cool friends,
Yeah.
and it would. But I wish I'd have actively sought out like, there's three cool dudes. I want
Yeah.
you to be my friend because you're a PR guy. That sounds cold,
Right. Right.
but you know what I'm saying. I wish I kept better relationship or found
Hmm.
more of the things that now I'm realizing, like, God, if I had a PR person, that would solve a billion things, and I could
Hmm.
put more content out because they just handle all the.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's crazy. I would also say learn. Right now, I'm trying to do film and content. That's
Hmm.
been harder than I thought because I'm like, you do have to get a few little supplies, a few little equipment and stuff. But
Hmm.
I think that's my new world.
Yeah.
It's like talking. I
Hmm.
don't know. And one time CP said, "You'll never talk on a podcast," because he thought I was shy. And I think that's why I started a podcast,
Yeah.
just
There you go.
to prove him wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
But
That
it's
and
been
that's
fun that
good.
all of us are, it's
Hmm.
been fun that doesn't it feel like all of us share? Like, want to, like, at least be known that here's some things to think about,
Hmm.
kick, kick butt, do it better than us, but here's all the things we come into. It
Hmm.
feels like we should be doing that. That's the
Yeah.
weird feeling I think I'm getting,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm trying, I guess.
It's a good feeling. It's a good
Yeah.
feeling. Because you don't want to sit and be stale. You don't want to sit down
No, I
and
can't.
be like, yeah, I did that drawing 20 years ago and I'm still getting accolades for it. So why should I draw anything else or
Yeah.
create anything else? It's you got to feel alive. You need to feel that challenge. You need to feel that anxiety and that pressure and the procrastination
Yeah. Yeah.
and
All
the
the
looming
little stuff
deadline.
I'm complaining about. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You got
Exactly.
to,
Yeah.
man. I mean, that's the creative process, and so when you're in it, that's when you feel alive.
Yeah,
To
and
be.
this will make me want to do something. Like, this having this interview was like,
Mhm.
selfishly, one, I want to talk to you, meet you finally. I think I knew you before, but you were on a little movie thing, and I was with my kid, and I was like, think I know that dude. And I do that from time to time because like Meech's brothers and that, I do that from time to time. I'll be like, I
Yeah.
know that on a random
Yeah.
film, but I think
Mhm.
that's where I like at least solidified. Oh, that's
Mhm.
who that guy is, you know.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah, it'll be interesting, man. This fires me up. I'm super
Good.
like it
Good.
fires me up to be like we could start sharing other things besides back in the day when you're painting live with each other. That was
Right.
the hustle time, you know. But like
Mhm.
now it's like, dang, we could do weird content. There's all kinds of levels now that we can
Mhm. Mhm.
explore. So yeah, yeah,
And
I
technology
appreciate
had.
all that because
Yeah.
no one tells me anything.
Okay.
So you and this other guy have told me that like, oh, you were doing this, and I was paying attention and stuff. Like, so it's at this age, that's something that good feels good to hear because I'm sitting there
Good.
going, what a waste of freaking time. You know, I'm
Mhm.
in that angry old man
Mhm.
stage. It feels like where I'm like, what a waste of time. If I'd have
Mhm.
gone straight design, I'd be like loaded. You
Right.
know what I mean? Just with a good job.
Yeah.
You know, so it's so good to hear that because the creative thing is still going to fight with me all the time. So I do have to
Mhm.
like feed the beast, or he just gets a little
Mhm.
bit where my wife gets annoyed. You know, like my
Right.
wife gets mad. I'm like, okay, turn it back down a little.
Yeah.
You know
Enough
what I mean?
playing. Enough playing. That's
Yeah,
right.
enough. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
No, I
So
think
it's
it's
cool.
technology. I think that technology today allows us to explore those things.
Hmm.
Whereas 20 years ago when I first came across your work, the internet was not there. It wasn't there. The only media was print.
MySpace. Yeah, MySpace
MySpace.
was the only. But I mean, that was the
Yeah.
first thing that got
Mhm.
postcards all over the city.
Mhm.
And we jumped right in, and oddly enough, it was like MySpace did a lot, but
Mhm.
then it's almost like it also was weird because when MySpace went away, it also did a lot to take it away. It was really weird
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
our era because MySpace did numbers for us on eyeballs, I guess, you know, and
Mhm.
spreading the word. But then it also,
Mhm.
it's like we didn't know that people know now you should be planning something else in case that
Mhm.
falls. So if you need to jump to a
Mhm.
different like
Mhm.
you didn't know that back then.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
was we lost probably there's a lot of contacts on there that I could probably
Mhm.
get in contact. You know, it was just a weird little
Mhm.
place. And so yeah, that was our first little exploration to like, holy crud.
Yeah.
Anyone can see our postcards now, kind of in a way,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I love being that generation that got like, you know, no computer, everything is run. We're literally now scared they're taking over. You know what I
Everything.
mean? Like
Yeah.
I love being the guys in the middle going like, I played with both. I
Mhm.
feel like it's a good place. You know,
Mhm.
I can, I can start a fire and chop wood. I can do all the things you had to do when you're
Mhm.
bored, or
Mhm.
I can be bored. That's
Right.
probably the biggest flex ever is to be like, I
Uh-huh.
can be bored for like 3 straight hours. They'd be like, holy cow.
Right, because you didn't have a whole
Yeah.
lot of things to pick up. You
It
couldn't. There was
forces you
not a
to
lot of choices.
squeeze your brain.
It
It
was your brain.
forces you
That's
to
right.
like,
Mhm.
yeah, I've got these drawings when I was like 12, 13 that are insane. Like it looked
Mhm.
like it was
Mhm.
psychedelic. I didn't, you know, I was a little 13-year-old or anything, but it was insane what boredom would just,
Mhm.
it made me go inside every little piece. It made me, you know,
Mhm.
it because, God, I mean, I remember boredom in the 80s, early 90s that would just
Mhm.
soul crushing boredom. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God. Yeah. And kids don't have that. No one has that now. Like, I don't
Yeah.
have it. It's all messed me up too. Like,
Yeah.
I go paint a brushstroke, film it, take an hour to put that up on somewhere, and then go like, I'm done. And then feel like I accomplished it.
Yep.
And then the painting takes like 2 years. I'm like, well, that's my fault. You know, like it's screwing with me a little too. Like, cause I think I still use boredom to be like, I'll just paint, listen to some good music
Mhm.
and boredom went away.
Mhm.
But now I'm like,
Mhm.
oh crap,
Mhm.
I'm getting hits of dopamine for free. It's not
Yeah.
good for me. I need to get the natural from the painting somehow. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. Man, your conversation is awesome, bro. I could sit and talk to you all day, man.
Yeah, we'll try to switch it one day. Like if I
Mhm.
can figure out how to do this video more on my own,
Mhm.
so I can schedule people better and stuff and not have to kind of like have a whole crew come every time and arrange that
Mm-hmm.
too. I'm trying to get it
Mm-hmm.
where it's all turn on the light, it's
Mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, we'll talk about
I,
stuff because I just
yeah,
want to
cool.
talk about stuff. I'm almost like, you know what? We got fatherly advice. We got advice on how to get out of violence or how, we got all this weird
Mm-hmm.
advice that,
Mm-hmm.
if not some whiskey and chilling on the couch, it's entertaining. If
Right.
and we're filled with it. We're filled with it.
Yeah.
So I just want to kind of have the laid back, like, holy crap, these are two creative people being creative. Look at they spit out 5, 7, 8 ideas literally in 30 minutes. You know what I mean? I want to
Mm-hmm.
see that, like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's just
Just do
called
it.
brainstorming.
There
Yeah.
you go. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we will pick this up at the later date then. We'll be able
Awesome, man.
to I'm down to scheduling sometimes. Let me know, man. I'd love to see your space and kind of setup you got. Because I've
Oh
worked
yeah,
in the
anytime.
studio, and that's how I ended up with my space to be able to do the things that I do by myself. But it's always great when you have a crew. However, I
Fair knowledge,
bec-
yeah.
right, because technology is available to us all. I like to at least know what things that I can do by myself, so that way I can just knock out some stuff. And
Yeah, I love this.
but yeah,
I
but
love the
yeah, let me know.
format. Yeah. Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm anytime, man, because I always entice people. I'm like, I have a vinyl machine, I have a wood CNC machine. I got all these machines. I'm like, is it enough to come to the? Will you come to the suburbs if I show you all these machines?
Right,
So I'm
right,
like,
right.
yeah, it's hard to get the city guys out into it, but I'm
Yeah,
like, I'll make you some stickers. So
that's
yeah,
right.
definitely come up. Definitely come up.
Come out to
Yeah,
Deep South outer space.
awesome. I
That's right.
appreciate it, man.
All right. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Thank you for all the wise words, and we will catch up soon.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
The Artist King podcast is made possible by the support of our sponsors, Azalea Creative Group, Sketchable Plus, and Visual Artworks. Once again, I am DTM, and I look forward to sharing the business of art with you. Until next time, stay creative.